Cancer, it's one of the most studied diseases on the planet, but it still holds some truly terrifying secrets. And maybe the biggest one is this: how does it learn to hide in plain sight, right inside our own bodies? So let's dive in and see how science is finally starting to turn on the lights. Okay, to really get handle on what we're up against, I want you to think about just one number: 670,000. According to the World Health Organization, that's how many people died from breast cancer in 2022 alone. It's just a staggering figure, and it shows you exactly how urgent this fight really is. So that brings us to the big question, right? The real mystery we're unpacking here. How on earth does a disease this destructive manage to become invisible to the most advanced defense system imaginable, our very own immune system? It's like a scientific detective story, and we're going to follow the clues. All right, first section. We're calling this cancer's great escape, because before we find the solution, we have to understand the problem, just how these aggressive cells manage to get away from our body's own defenses. And look, the scale of this problem is, well, it's immense. This isn't some rare disease we're talking about. In 2022, there were 2.3 million new diagnoses. That makes breast cancer the most commonly diagnosed cancer in women across the entire globe. So, for doctors, the challenge is huge, and it kind of breaks down into three parts. 1. Some of these cancers are just incredibly aggressive. 2. It's really, really hard to predict what they're going to do next, and that leads to the third problem: how do you choose the right treatment? It's like you're trying to fight an enemy that you can't even track. Okay, so if the cancer is hiding, then where is the hideout? Let's take a look at the actual crime scene, the tumor's own local environment. This is where it sets up shop, its entire base of operations. And this is a really crucial point. A tumor isn't just some random clump of bad cells. No, it's much smarter than that. It actually engineers its surroundings. It builds a fortress, a defensive wall specifically designed to keep your body's good guys out. Yeah, and scientists have a name for this fortress. They call it the tumor microenvironment. Just think of it as this whole complex little ecosystem. You've got cells, blood vessels, all sorts of stuff that the tumor has basically hijacked and corrupted to protect itself. This is ground zero for the whole operation. And inside this little fortress, this microenvironment, the cancer gets really sneaky. It starts sending out these, they're like secret messages. There are specific proteins that basically tell your immune cells, hey, nothing to see here, stand down. So it's not just hiding anymore. It's actively disarming the guards at the gate. So if the tumor is sending out secret messages, the key is to intercept them, right? We have to decode what it's saying. And that brings us to the next part of this whole story: hunting for biological clues. And yes, there are actual detectives on this case. A really cool research initiative called Project Bridge is bringing together scientists and doctors to do exactly this, to crack the code. Their whole mission is to take what's being discovered in the lab and turn it into tools that can be used in the real world. So what kind of clues are we talking about? Well, they're hunting for something called biomarkers. The best way to think about them is like biological breadcrumbs. They're these little measurable signals, maybe a certain protein level or a specific gene, that can tell doctors exactly what a tumor is up to, and even what it's planning to do next. And this is not just some abstract theory. Listen to this quote from Katerina Brito. She's one of the lead researchers. She says they've already found some of these communication signals in the lab. So now the whole point of Project Bridge is to prove that these same signals show up in real patients. That's how you make that jump from the lab to a real clinic. Okay, so finding these clues is amazing, but it's what you do with them that really matters. It's all about cracking the cancer code. So what does cracking the code actually mean for a patient? Well, it lets doctors do three incredibly important things. First, they can predict how aggressive a tumor is going to be. Second, they can keep an eye on it over time without invasive procedures. And third, and this is the big one, they can pick the exact therapy that's most likely to work against that tumor's unique defenses. And that right there, that's the ultimate goal. It's all about bridging that gap. See, that's why the project is called Bridge. It's about taking amazing science from a petri dish and putting a practical tool into a doctor's hand that can actually save someone's life. When you put all this together, you realize it's all leading somewhere revolutionary. We are on the verge of a brand new era of cancer treatment, one that's smarter, way more precise, and just better. And you can see the difference right here. The old way, well, it was kind of a one-size-fits-all deal. You have this type of cancer, so you get this standard treatment. But with personalized care, it's completely different. It starts by recognizing that your tumor is unique, and the treatment is tailored specifically to its biomarkers, its own biological fingerprint. That, right there, is the huge shift. This is the future. We're finally moving away from just treating a disease and moving towards treating a person, an individual. It's medicine designed for you, right down to the molecular level. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. By learning to speak the secret language of our cells, we're not just finding new ways to outsmart cancer. We're actually creating a playbook, a strategy guide that could work against so many other complex diseases. So the question isn't if we can decode them anymore. The real question is, which disease is next?